Hurry, let's go! Get the money! Don't anybody move!
The bank was silent until a single gunshot changed everything. 3 masked robbers, 1 dead banker, no witnesses who could tell the faces, but seconds before he died, the victim whispered, "I know who you are." Now a female detective hunts a killer hiding behind a mask. And the closer she gets to the truth, the closer she comes to becoming the next target. The gunshot shattered the bank's artificial calm like glass, exploding under pressure. For half a second, no one screamed. The sound echoed against marble floors and reinforced glass walls, louder than it should have been, louder than any gunshot had the right to be. The security alarm hadn't even started yet, but everyone inside First Union Bank knew something irreversible had just happened. Down, everybody down. A masked man shouted. Customers dropped to the floor in a wave of terror. A woman near the counter cried out as her knees hit the tiles. A child froze, staring, until his mother yanked him down by the arm. The smell of gunpowder hung in the air, sharp and metallic. Behind the main counter, Daniel Harper, the assistant bank manager, lay on his side. Blood spread slowly beneath his chest, dark and soaking into his white shirt. His eyes were open, unblinking, fixed on nothing. He was already dead. The 3 robbers stood frozen for a moment, all of them wearing identical black masks, featureless, emotionless, anonymous. No one could tell which one had pulled the trigger. Jesus. One of them muttered, his voice shaking, "That wasn't supposed to happen. Shut up." The tallest one snapped, "Stick to the plan." The alarm finally screamed to life. Red lights flashed. Mechanical female voice repeated, "Security breach. Law enforcement notified." Outside, sirens began to rise in the distance. 20 minutes later, Detective Emily Carter arrived at the scene as yellow tape was already being stretched across the front entrance. She stepped out of her unmarked car, adjusting her badge clipped to her belt. At 34, she had learned not to rush crime scenes. Panic contaminated evidence, noise blurred details. She forced herself to slow down, even as adrenaline pulsed in her veins. First Union Bank sat on the corner of Maple and 7. Quiet neighborhood, low crime rate. This kind of violence didn't belong here, but here it was. Detective Carter, Officer Reynolds said, ducking under the tape to meet her. 1 victim, male, bank employee, gunshot wound to the chest. Robbers fled before patrol units arrived. Emily nodded. Any witnesses? Plenty. Everyone's shaken. No clear description. Masks, gloves, dark clothing. Of course, masks meant confidence. Planning and fear of recognition. Emily stepped inside. The bank smelled like fear and disinfectant. People sat wrapped in silver emergency blankets, eyes wide, hands trembling. A woman sobbed quietly into her palms. A man stared at the floor like he'd lost something he couldn't name. Emily's gaze went straight to the body. Daniel Harper lay where he'd fallen, a white sheet covering everything except his face. She crouched beside him, careful not to disturb anything. 1 shot, close range. Execution style, no, messy, panicked. This wasn't a professional hit. Robbery gone wrong. The medical examiner said softly behind her, "Maybe," Emily replied, "or maybe that's what they want us to think." She studied Daniel's face. No signs of a struggle, no defensive wounds. His hands were relaxed, fingers slightly curled. He hadn't expected to die. Witness statement #1 they brought in Laura Mitchell, a teller who had been standing closest to Daniel. "I heard yelling," Laura said, voice trembling. Then Daniel stood up. He told them to take the money, that we'd cooperate. Emily leaned forward slightly. What happened next? One of them, one of the masked men. He turned toward Daniel. They were arguing. I think Daniel recognized something. Not a face, a voice maybe. Emily's pulse quickened. Did Daniel say anything? Laura swallowed hard. He said, "I know who you are." And then the gun went off. The room fell silent. Emily straightened slowly. Which robber fired? She asked. Laura shook her head, tears spilling down her cheeks. I don't know. They all looked the same. That was the problem with masks. They hid faces, but they didn't hide intent. Later that night, Emily stood alone near the evidence board back at the precinct. Photos of the crime scene were pinned in neat rows: the body, the bloodstain, the shattered comm of a small town bank. Robbery didn't explain everything. Why kill the assistant manager when compliance was already happening? Why panic after the shot instead of celebrating control? And most importantly, why did Daniel Harper think he recognized one of them? Emily picked up her phone and dialed. "Run a full background on Daniel Harper," she said when the call connected. "Financials, personal connections, recent conflicts, everything." She paused, staring at the photo of the masked robbers caught on security footage. 3 dark figures frozen in time. "And I want a voice analysis done on every witness recording." One of those masks slipped tonight. Outside the precinct window, the city slept, unaware that this was only the first body. The next morning, the town still smelled faintly of gunpowder and fear. Newspapers screamed with bold headlines: "Bank heist turns deadly, masked killers escape justice." Every headline made Emily's jaw tighten. She didn't read the stories for the details. They were sensational, often wrong, but for the pulse of public fear, and the pulse was racing. Inside the precinct, she stared at the whiteboard again. Names, timelines, witness statements, and photos jostled space, but one piece didn't fit. Daniel Harper's last words: "I know who you are." Emily tapped her pen against the board. Who do you know that would risk murder masked as robbery? A lead emerges. Officer Reynolds approached, a file clutched in his hands. "Detective, we pulled the bank surveillance recordings. There's something odd." Emily raised an eyebrow. Odd how? He handed her a USB drive. "Watch for yourself." Emily plugged it into her laptop. The grainy footage showed the robbers storming the bank. Black masks, black gloves, black jackets. Standard stuff. But at 1:34, the middle robber hesitated. Just for a fraction of a second, he tilted his head toward Daniel, almost familiar. Emily paused the video and zoomed in. The robber's posture, the way he held the gun, even the shift of his shoulder. Something clicked in her mind. Run a cross-check on all current and former employees, and anyone Daniel interacted with recently. Personal disputes, debts, conflicts. Anything, she instructed. Something tells me Daniel wasn't just unlucky that day. Another victim by noon, the precinct got the call. A second murder at a nearby storage facility. Emily arrived on scene. It was eerily quiet, broken only by the chirping of crickets. The body, a man named Marcus Vance, a local accountant, lay sprawled in a dimly lit office unit, shot once, clean through the chest. Emily crouched beside him, noting similarities with Daniel Harper's murder. Execution, style, no struggle, precision shot. Officer Reynolds handed her a folder. Marcus was Daniel's client. Same bank. Emily's eyes narrowed, and he might have known the same secret Daniel did. She felt a chill. The killers were sending a message, not random, targeted. Piecing together the puzzle back at the precinct, Emily mapped the connections between the victims. Daniel Harper, assistant bank manager Marcus Vance, accountant, client Daniel. Both possibly knew the identity of someone. She pulled up Daniel's recent emails. A name kept appearing, K.R., signed casually at the end of encrypted messages. Emily didn't recognize the initials. They weren't a client. They weren't a co-worker. But someone trusted enough for Daniel to reach out in secret. A knock on the door. "Detective, you might want to see this," Officer Reynolds said, holding a small envelope. Inside, a black mask, identical to the ones used in the bank robbery. Emily's stomach tightened. Someone was playing with her. Someone knew she was coming close. Emily's intuition. Emily sat in her car late that night, staring at the mask on the passenger seat. The town lights flickered softly, but the shadows seemed to move on their own. This isn't just about money. Her instincts screamed that the killer or killers had a deeper motive, maybe personal, maybe revenge. Maybe they were cleaning up a secret that only Daniel and Marcus had stumbled upon. Emily touched the mask cautiously. Whoever wore this had killed without hesitation. Whoever it was could strike again anywhere. She pulled out her phone and began drafting a list of everyone Daniel and Marcus had known intimately, friends, family, colleagues, anyone who might have been pushed too far, and as she stared out at the quiet streets, she realized the masks weren't hiding faces, they were hiding identities, and to catch them, she would need to see through the shadow of every single person around her. A threat closer than expected. Just as Emily was about to leave, her phone buzzed. A text message from an unknown number. "Stop digging, Detective Carter. Or the next one will be you." Emily's hand trembled slightly, but only for a moment. She wiped it away. Fear wasn't going to stop her. Not now. Not after Daniel and Marcus. She placed the black mask back in its evidence bag and whispered to herself, "I'm coming for you, whoever you are, and I'll find out the truth." Outside, the town slept, unaware that the shadow stalking it had just issued a new warning, and Emily Carter would have to chase that shadow through lies, betrayal, and murder if she wanted justice. The wind was sharp that night, rattling the windows of Emily's apartment. Papers shuffled on her desk as she pored over files, maps, and photographs. 3 murders now: Daniel Harper, Marcus Vance, and a third potential victim who Emily feared was next. Every detail pointed towards someone who wasn't just organized but personal. Emily felt it in her gut. This wasn't about money anymore, it was about secrets. The break through Emily returned to the bank's security footage, replaying the moment when Daniel's eyes met the middle robber. She slowed it down, frame by frame, adjusting brightness and contrast. Something subtle appeared, a gesture Daniel recognized, a slight nod, almost imperceptible. Emily froze the frame. Wait a second. She cross-referenced employees and contractors who had regular access to the bank. One name jumped off the page: Kevin Rhodes, a quiet, unassuming IT consultant who often worked late nights inside the bank, often unnoticed. Emily ran a background check. Clean criminal record, local reputation solid. Nothing seemed alarming, but the pattern was there. Every victim had crossed paths with Kevin at some point, and Daniel's last words, "I know who you are," made perfect sense. Confrontation Emily arranged. Surveillance on Kevin's apartment. Late that night, she saw movement, masked, deliberate, precise. She called for backup and approached quietly. Inside, Kevin moved like a shadow, preparing a bag with weapons and gloves. Emily kicked the door open, badge flashing. "Freeze." "Police," she shouted. Kevin turned. For a moment, his face was revealed beneath the mask. "Calm, cold, you killed them," Emily said, her voice steady but sharp. "I had to." Kevin replied softly, almost matter-of-factly, "They were going to expose me." Daniel, Marcus, they knew too much. Secrets that couldn't get out. Emily's pulse raced. Secrets? What secrets? He shrugged, emotionless. "Not mine to tell, but they threatened everything I've worked for." "I only did what was necessary." Emily inched closer. "You call murder necessary. I call it survival," he said, eyes locked on hers. "Would you have stopped me if the tables were turned?" The final struggle. Kevin lunged, trying to escape through the fire exit. Emily tackled him, struggling to keep him restrained. The mask slipped from his face, revealing a man utterly ordinary in appearance, until the fury in his eyes betrayed the darkness beneath. Officer Reynolds arrived, gun drawn, securing Kevin. "He's not going anywhere." Emily caught her breath. The adrenaline coursed through her veins, but she kept her focus. She knew this was only the beginning of the legal battle, but the immediate threat was gone. Justice served in the following days. Kevin Rhodes was charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder and armed robbery. His calm demeanor in court unnerved the jury, but the evidence was overwhelming. Security footage, fingerprints, eyewitness testimony, and the black masks used in each crime. Emily visited the victims' families, offering condolences and reassurance. It was never enough, but at least now there was closure. Late at night, she returned to the bank. The marble floors, the shattered calm, the lingering sense of fear, now felt heavier knowing what had happened here. She looked at Daniel's photo taped to her desk back at the precinct. "I kept my promise," she whispered. "You're not forgotten in justice." It came. The town slowly returned to its rhythm, the shadows lifting from streets that had once felt haunted. But Emily knew one truth she would carry forever: the masks people wear aren't always physical. Sometimes they hide the darkest parts of who we are, and in the quiet of the night, Emily... Carter allowed herself a small, rare smile. She had seen the darkness, faced it, and emerged unbroken. Please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.